Hey guys, welcome to this week's Canna Talk. We're going to be talking about growing outside, starting out. Here's a little picture of something I had last year that grew into something quite big. Uh, Grew into the one on the left. So we're going to discuss spacing. We're going to discuss who, what, when, where, and why. Well, the why is because you legally can, and there's no other need beyond that. But let's start with the who. Who can grow cannabis? Legally, it depends where you live. It depends on your local laws. Other than that, if they say you can, there shouldn't be any sort of there some places do have like only card carrying medical members can grow. There's different aspects of how many plants you can have depending on your needs, or if you're a caretaker for others. Like in my state, there's the caretaker option where you can be a caretaker for somebody and you can grow their cannabis for them. So the who determines the legality, I should say. Um, what is, the who is the legality. What has a lot to do with what do you want to do? Like, how do you want it to look? Um, what do you have available to you? Are you buying your seeds online? Because you can purchase seeds online in most places legally. The seeds are referred to as novelty items because there's no THC in the seed. So it is not technically cannabis. While it is scientifically a cannabis plant, it is not cannabis in the sense that would get you arrested in most places. There are other laws and other rules and regulations in other places, especially when you start getting into travel between places, like what we were talking about in buying seeds. I buy seeds from my state that are able to be sent to me. As far as I know and I'm aware, everything is legal and on the up and up. So I'm not breaking any laws or violating anything. The seeds are still seeds. They're not clones or anything. When they get sent, they're in their seed form. And then I pop them here. I start. We got the when, or the who, the what. Let's start with the when. I like to plant my plants around Mother's Day weekend, either a week before, a week after, Mother's Day weekend itself, but right around there. Look at the weather. I am in a decent climated area that the weather fluctuates a lot. Midwest, we get a lot of fluctuation around this time of year. So I'm a little hesitant to put them out early. You want to see several weeks of good weather. And right now, we're having a pretty good year. This year, I might put them out the week before, maybe even two, because it's mid-April now, and we're getting to the point where it's getting nice out. It's getting nice out. We're gonna have some bad days still though, so I don't want them to be out in the weather, getting getting harmed or anything if we have a bad storm come through. So what I do is when they go in the ground like this, they are already this tall. This plant was in, I believe this is this pot. It could have been. These are some strawberries, green beans. I think this is another cannabis plant. But these are like green beans. I don't remember what those are. I grow many things. But yeah, it starts off, you know, in a pot inside. I don't think either of these are actually that plant. Now that I'm looking at them, I don't think either of them are this plant. But this started off in a pot, and then it went outside like these, because this one ended up all the way at the end, all the way down. If you continued down farther this way, across my porch, they ended up farther down. But it starts in this pot, so that way if the weather does get bad, I can bring them in. I don't like to bring them back in, but if it's going to be the difference between having a plant and not, it's a simple decision. So you pot it, you take it outside for a while after you've been growing it in your indoor setup. This is my personal way to do this. It's how I like to do it. It is not the only way. You can just pop a seed in the ground when the weather starts to get nice and hope for the best. As long as you followed everything up to this point, we're building on the logic that you've followed the legal laws and you've done your research and you have the materials to do this. The what also is the materials that you need, like maybe your soil where you live isn't so good, so you need extra nutrients for it. But outside, you're dealing with an entire ecosystem that will assist your plant as long as your plant assists the ecosystem. So if your plant's not sickly or anything like that, the ecosystem will be like, oh, we gonna help, because it's gonna give back and produce carbon dioxide and food for the bugs and things like that. Like, yeah, a little bit of your plant leaves are going to be eaten outside. Oh no. That's nature. That's how it happens. You're not really focused on the leaves exactly. Now, there are different things you can use as pesticides, different things you can grow underneath your plants that will assist in pesticides. That are more natural, ideas for that. And then there's also fungicides. There's a few different ones that I use interchangeably, but they're all made to be food safe. Like, I could spray this on an apple and then eat the apple. Like, the safe. Okay, I would want to wash the apple first, because food safe is different than safe for human consumption. But use a food safe, or if you can find a safe for human consumption, antifungal or bacteria is not as much one that you deal with. Antifungal and antipest, like some sort of pesticide. Like, you can use mint as a pesticide. You can grow mint by your plants, and it will prevent spiders and spider mites, supposedly. I can't guarantee it, because they could just come in from above and not give a crap about the mint. So we've got the what. If you need nutrients. But that's basically your what. And when, back to when. Mother's Day, and now your harvest is going to depend on the plants you put out. Not when you put them out. You can put them out in June, and they're still going to harvest the same time as if you put it out in May. However, the difference is going to be yield, because it will have 2 more months. Or I said June, so it would have a whole extra month to grow, which a whole extra month of growth can be a lot. Especially if you do have proper nutrients and proper watering techniques. And that's another thing. Growing outside, it's a lot harder to miss watering, because the earth is so, like, if in my area it is so difficult for me to forget to water, because literally, like, between the rain and the amount of water trapped in the soil in the area, like, I almost never have to water. Like, the roots go down far enough to almost always have access to water sufficiently between rains. Like, I have a really nice area to grow in. This is early May, I believe, last year. And this picture was taken in August, I want to say. July or August. Just a couple months. Just boom. Boom. Like you can see that that's the corner of my porch right there. And you see how I should have probably separated them a little more. So that's gonna get us more into the where. Like you need to have a location. Obviously, we're going off the assumption that we're already following the legal rules. This is another something I meant to show you guys in the last episode. This is what those seedlings look like on the inside of this, and I this was before I made the cutouts. I think I initially just had a fan hanging in the top, and we left the door open. But eventually I put cutouts on, and it's a special type of bulb you have to buy for this to go into a lamp socket. But this bulb you can buy, it's got the purple lights. It's not too bright. They're not great. They're more for like aquariums to grow like algae or coral, I think. I don't know, actually. Maybe it's for the fish. I'm not sure. But it worked decent enough for my seedlings, and they were digging it. But yes, this was like June or July, maybe August. August to September. And then they flowered. And you can see the flowers. The one next to it, you can see the one off in the corner is a different strain. I'm trying to remember what each were. I have it written down somewhere, but we'll come back to it. These was like a 8-foot tall plant. I am 5'11" for reference. Yeah, and I got my shoulders in the plant, like it's towering above me a good 3-4 feet in this picture, like, or I'm sorry, two. I said 3 or 4 feet. No, like two, maybe 3 feet. It could have been close to 9. So it's just putting them outside. The sun works really well. We are just trying to imitate it, honestly, with everything that we are trying to do. We're just trying to imitate it. Yeah. So, and then this is more of the where. Um, this is more of the where, as in like, where should you be able to grow? You can grow anywhere at least one crop a year that's in like this circle. Like, I feel like this is actually slightly off, but like this is like probably a an image for like the global warming of areas and the difference possibly. But I thought this was more going to just show the different thermal areas of the actual. I mean, it's not straight lines like this, but basically from this blue line up and kind of the yellowish. It's kind of the limit. Almost anywhere in these areas, cannabis can grow, whether it's legally or not. But cannabis is capable of growing in almost any of these areas. Like you can grow it out in deserts as long as you water it and help it live. You can, because we do it in America and California. That's some of the best cannabis that comes out of America, or that is produced in America is in California. We're starting to catch up because it's starting to get to the point where science is making the leaps past nature and quality. But for a while, like California or Colorado, stuff from this side of the country, you'd pay extra for it. Now you can't, but people claim to. Like, so The legality in my area is you cannot transport it across state lines. So how are you getting Cali Bud in your Michigan dispensaries or your Louisiana dispensaries, or like the other? I'm not going to list all the legal states, but like there's a brand called Cali Bud, and it's a brand. It ain't Cali Bud. It legally can't be. But that's a whole other. We can get into more legalities of different things, but we're trying to start out our grows. So you want to take it from this to this. And so best way I would say to start out is if you can make one of these little guys. This is all it is. This is the inside. I've got a little tray at the bottom so that the plants, if there's water that feeds through, it doesn't drip out. There's a little fan to produce a little bit of resistance for them. So like you want a fan to blow on your seedlings gently or at least around in the room so where it moves them so those stalks get used to the movement. Because outside you're going to deal with a lot of wind. So you want your plants to be used to a fair amount of movement. They won't move as much. They'll just get stronger, and if they keep moving, they'll get stronger and stronger as long as they're not breaking from the movement. I've accidentally put a fan on too high, and some of my seedlings just topple over, and they didn't recover. It's an unfortunate happening. But, yeah, you go outside. Growing outdoors is so much simpler, in my opinion. You do have other things to watch out for, but at the same time, there are things you should be watching out for in your own grow for the most part. Inside, if you're inside. So, like, you should always be watching if you have, bugs when you're inside. Outside, you just need to use preventative maintenance. Otherwise, yes, you will have bugs. Now, they might not hit you too bad, you know. You might not get like mites, but you might get like ants. That's fine. Ants don't really eat your cannabis. They might take some of the leaves, but that's usually not what you're growing it for. Bird shit. You don't want to smoke bird shit. So if a bird shits on a bud, you kind of just toss it out. Only preventative you can do for that is covering it, but then you're covering it from the sun, and some people use clear plastics, but I'm not so sure about if they start, unless it's like really taut. If it curves, it could send a signal, not a signal, send a light through. That's, I don't know. I just not a fan of things that let light go through that can also possibly intensify the light, because I don't want to burn the plants. Then you want to use preventative maintenance is the general idea that we got going. Preventative maintenance, you want to make sure you can do as much as you can, but when you're done, you want to make sure as many possible ways that you could harm yourself are taken out of the factor. So, like, you want to watch for molds. You want to watch for, mildew and stuff like that. If you can prevent it, good. But still watch for it, because when you're outside, there could be a lot of it depending on your area. The other year, we got hit really bad with powdery mildew, and I had to get rid of probably about a pound. Just between the put it in the ground. We sprayed it down with rubbing alcohols and threw it away. So that way it didn't like just sit in the trash can and infect more of stuff in the trash can, grow on the trash can, and now we have to deal with it every year. We tried to spray it down so that way, sprayed the bag and stuff so that it didn't grow out. And it's terrible. If you see it, you want to prevent it, or if you see it, you haven't prevented it sufficiently. But you can't always prevent it sufficiently. There's sometimes just high concentrations in the air of the mycorrhizal fungi, or not mycorrhizal fungi, the fruiting bodies produce spores. Sometimes the spores, there's just so many of them, they just get on your plant. There's not much you can do. But you want to try to prevent that as much as you can, So one thing you've noticed here is there's not a whole bunch of stuff growing right here. That'll keep bugs away because it is an area where they can be seen more easily. It's the same idea behind painting the bottom of trees white. Is birds will see them easier on it and eat them, so the bugs will learn not to go on it. And it's just like a natural insecticide. Like, the birds are just able to better hunt the bugs that try and get up the tree. So less bugs will get in the tree. It's not that none will, but it's better than trying to spray poison all over the tree, right? So doing things like that. This also prevents other plants from taking up the nutrients in the soil that I'm going to be adding specifically for the cannabis. Not that I don't want my yard to be nice, but I'm not buying the nutrients that I'm buying for my cannabis plant for my whole yard in general. Some stuff is just a whole yard. It helps the cannabis plant too, and everything helps. It helps everything, but most of the things I'm buying specifically for my cannabis plants are specifically for my cannabis plants. I don't want there to be grass growing 2 feet tall up here, and I don't want to have to take a weed whacker in here to trim it down if I just had, a couple inches of grass. I don't want to have to trim it while I'm also worrying about the stalks of these plants, especially while they're young, because a weed whipper will just eat through it, or an edger, trimmer, whatever you call it, just whip right through it. Take it down, all my hard work gone. So here you can see we've got 2 plants pretty close to each other, though. Doesn't seem like it, really, to me. At least it didn't. They're about 3 to 4 feet away from each other. Grew right into each other. Now you can see that the plant that I had next to these, let's see if we can, you can see a little farther down the line, even that third plant, that right here, you can see there's a fair amount of space between them. Even those 2 plants started to grow into each other. And we just had to pull it out from one side and basically chop down from one side to another. It was an ordeal. You kind of see my backyard a little bit. I got a fire pit over by the bench. It's where we burn, the stalks and stuff like that when we're done with them. Male plants, stuff like that. Because we did run into a couple males. Every once in a while it happens. You get a male plant. You just want to take it out. Because if people around you are growing and you have a male plant outdoors, you will infect the entire neighborhood. And when I say infect, I'm like, if anyone is intentionally growing to breed, they're not doing it outdoors typically. Or you shouldn't. Because you are going to breed all the plants in the area. Because the way plants breed is similar to how, like we were talking about with the spores in the air, it's similar to that, but it's with the cannabis plant, but it's a little different. There's pollen, and you have pollen sacs, which in the male plants you will see those pollen sacs. Everyone jokes that they look like male genitalia, like balls. They kind of do. They kind of do. But they're little sacks. You usually get 2 of them appear at a time. And they will appear typically before I believe it's called the stamen of the female plant that you see there. 2 like little white hairs that would come out of a little bulge. And that bulge is actually a not I'm trying to remember the word. There's a word for it, but it's a that has a lot of THC in it, and it is part of the nodes that build off to produce your nugs, which is the flower of the plant, which is supposed to absorb the pollen. So if you have a male plant spreading pollen all over the place in I believe 2 to 3 square mile area, I think a single plant can pollinate. All your neighbors are going to be mad because, oh, I got a bunch of seeds now because you pollinated their flowers, and the flowers produce seeds because that's how it naturally reproduces. Well, for our consumption, typically you don't want seeds in it. It's a little nicer. So you don't have to, break it down, pull them out. You don't accidentally smoke one. It's not a great experience. But if you grow only female plants and you have no male plants pollinating them, they'll still flower. You'll still get those nugs, the buds, whatever you want to call them, but they won't have seeds in them because they were never pollinated to produce the seed. And that's how you produce seedless cannabis. Just an only female crop in an area that has no other males. And if you want to propagate that crop continuously, you take clones from the females. And I'm not a huge fan of doing this, but I'm probably going to be cloning from outside to inside. I have my cloner inside. I'll be cloning, taking clips from outside, pulling them in after I use my preventative maintenance, so I'm not bringing things into my garden. It's a thing I'm not typically fond of, but I think that's how it's going to run this year because some of my plants are not as tall as I wanted them to be. So, but you can see here, let's see, what do we got going on here? I'm seeing a little bit of nitrogen on these lower leaves. Where this is at, I don't believe that would be a nitrogen deficiency. Or is that a tag? I can't tell if that's a tag or a leaf. I know I did deal with a little bit of deficiencies in this plant about midway through the grow before it started just taking off out, like just taking off. And you see this net that I put out. It's put up on little poles, tied to little poles to help me kind of spread them out more so they don't get that tall. I mean, they still got that tall, but they also got bushy. And I mean, you can just see next to my hand, this one cola right there is going to be real nice, but that guy up top, that was beautiful. So back to these images. Let's go back one more. So you can see there's a bit of space between these plants. You want to what we did is we actually dug all the dirt up, flipped it around, mulched it up, made additives to it, did all sorts of stuff. I added like a little bit of perlite to it and stuff, some indoor soil I also added and mixed in with it to give it more nutrients. You don't have to do all that. If you have a good environment, sometimes you can just put them in the ground, they'll be good enough. Then we've got back to the pot. So the idea of the pot is that you can mostly just test the weather. You can still get that sun. You don't get the benefits of the mycorrhizal zone, the fungi interaction, the insect interaction. You don't get all those benefits. You start to get a little bit of insect interaction, which is good for the plant. But you don't get everything. You don't get the roots growing into the soil, getting all the nutrients from the ground that like there's a whole system of nutrients that goes back and forth in plant systems when they combine. There's That's what the ecosystem does is it helps maintain in plants, especially trees are known to do this between their own species a lot, and they will send nutrients between the different species of tree, or in the same species. They'll send nutrients to each other that one is abundant in and the other is lacking in. They'll even that out just through sending nutrients through their roots. And we're learning more and more every day about how these plants communicate and what their way of life is, because it is another form of life. It's definitely another form of life. Um, and it's not, the way we conceive consciousness. It's not conscious in the way we conceive it, but there is there are ways that the plant knows which direction the sun is coming from. It's like there's a complex system that lets it know which way to face its leaves. Like you could see the sun's coming from where we're standing, kinda, and so that's why the leaves are actually facing more towards us at this point. They kind of like a sunflower is a very good example of this because they will move very far to adjust so that they're facing the sun. Sunflowers are some of the best examples of that. And you can actually physically just see them moving with the sun if you stand for a few hours and watch them. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. But guys, I think we're going to call it here for now. I haven't had a lot of people asking questions or anything. I'll probably be playing some games and stuff, but remember, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we're probably going to go into a little bit more advanced, not quite starting up, but like what you should be doing day to day. We're going to get into that next one. Guys, we'll talk to you later. Take it easy.